First of all, you are healed and forgiven,
Yeah.
and one day you'll meet that little one in heaven.
Amen. Yeah.
And I want you to have that as comfort,
Yes.
because it says in the scriptures, God gathers the least of these in his hand, and I believe that speaks to the unborn.
Amen.
And
In the beginning clips, Charlie Kirk is showing empathy and comforting someone who actually had to go through the abortion process. Charlie Kirk's really shows why abortion talk is so important and shouldn't be something that we just brush to the side. This video will make you think differently, guaranteed, and make you have a different perspective of abortion. Charlie Kirk shows why abortion talk is so important due to all the things the woman is talking about, which is really sad, and you can feel her emotions almost. Charlie Kirk starts by telling her a Bible script about abortion. But let's get right into the next clips.
oh yes, ma'am, I want to hear from you. So, can you say your name?
Taylor.
Taylor, I don't want to put you on the spot if you're
no, you can't. I
uncomfortable.
talk about it.
So, have you had a child since? Can you talk about your story, please?
No. So when I was 23, I got pregnant. Wasn't planned. And I decided I was going to do the right thing. Came from a Christian family. Abortion was always off the table. At 18 weeks, I found out that my amniotic sac tore and attached to my baby's spine. It was pulling her spine out and filling her brain with fluid. And the doctor said, there's no other option. This is what we have to do. So I did induce labor and I gave birth. That was the grounds. I said, I'm not doing this unless. So I wanted to hold her. I wanted to, yeah. So afterwards, when I started getting bills, the doctor said, well, your life wasn't actually at risk of death in that moment. It could have been eventually, but it wasn't then. And so the pain that abortion caused me, I stayed in an abusive relationship for a year. I allowed a man to beat me because I felt so little about myself. I drank, I used drugs, and if it hadn't been for Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, I don't know where I would be. So.
First of all, you are healed and forgiven,
Yeah.
and one day you'll meet that little one in heaven.
Amen. Yeah.
And I want you to have that as comfort,
Yes.
because it says in the scriptures, God gathers the least of these in his hand, and I believe that speaks to the unborn.
Amen.
And I ask you a question. Mm-hmm. Do you believe that the medical industry lied to you?
Absolutely.
Talk more about that, because we're told to trust doctors. And if you, what would you have done? Would you have brought that baby to term? What, because 18 weeks is before a baby can usually survive outside of utero.
Correct.
Again, in this clip, it just proves that Charlie Kirk's talks and more show exactly why abortion talk is so important in today's economy and shouldn't be something people push to the side. This girl that goes on stage to talk with Charlie Kirk is brave for going up there and doing all that. She goes on the stage saying her traumatic experience trying to bring light on why abortion talk is so important. The woman basically says that doctors can lie to you to make you get an abortion when it really isn't needed or really required. This whole video proves it when Charlie Kirk shows why abortion talk is so important. The woman says getting an abortion or induced labor broke her character and made her feel weak and vulnerable, which led to her staying in an abusive relationship afterwards. She also says feeling weak, down, and vulnerable made her drink, use drugs, and fall into a depression because of that. This is exactly why abortion talk is so important. In today's economy, Charlie Kirk touches more on the question: if the woman thinks that the medical doctors lied to her in order to push her for an abortion, to which she agrees. And Charlie Kirk touches more on this subject in this next clip. Listen carefully.
But so giving birth to her, I was holding this little child. I mean, she was a baby. She had hands and nails, and I mean, she was alive. And in holding that baby, I knew, I was like, well, I had no right to take her life. And I felt like I was put in a position to choose that. And my mom, she talks about how she's like, I'm sitting there listening to a doctor say that my daughter's going to die. And I didn't know what to do. And so we all felt this pressure and this pushing to abort my daughter. And that wasn't the case.
What is your advice for women that are being lied to by doctors right now, where they're being told something of that case?
That death does not heal anything. And so taking her life didn't heal me. It didn't, I mean, if anything, my life was worse off. I wish that I had gone to term. I wish that, well, I wish that if she was going to pass, I wish she had passed in me without me choosing to take her life, is what I wish would have happened. And I do know a woman who shared her story with me, and she chose that route, and she didn't die. I mean, nothing happened, but she did pass the baby naturally as well. and the baby died naturally in her. But
I meet hundreds of women that, first of all, doctors say that your baby will die, and that's just not true. The baby ends up being perfectly healthy. Why do you think doctors are so intent on death? Like, what is that all about?
well, I think that at the end of the day, it is money in their pocket. I hate to say it, but abortion is money. And I mean, I think that death has been so. Oh, sorry. Okay. I think that death just is. We've been so brainwashed that death isn't a big deal. Abortion's not a big deal. It's just, it is what it is. The doctor looked at me and he said, hopefully I see you again in a year. Like, it was just, So.
Thank you for sharing your story. I know how hard that is, and I hope that it's part of God's plan.
In that last clip, it was very sad and very emotional to hear a hurt mother talk about her own personal experience with having to abort a baby, which proves it when Charlie Kirk says, abortion talk is so important. This is something a woman should never have to go through. The woman states that the hospital practically forced her into an abortion, with them telling her and the woman's mother that she can die from not getting the baby taken care of, to which the doctor later told the distressed mother that she was not in risk of dying at that certain point, but she would have been. The doctors practically pushed her and her mother to the edge to abort the daughter, which again shows why abortion talk is so important. The woman goes on to give advice to mothers in the situation she was once in. She says, death from abortion is never healed from inside you. Charlie Kirk asks the woman on what she thinks and why she thinks that the doctor's intent is for you to kill your baby, to which the woman answers with truth and says that abortion is more money in their pockets, which we already see a lot in the medical industry. This whole video shows the truth when Charlie Kirk shows why abortion talk is so important.